If you're listening to Shabbat Dinner Party, I have a hunch you're interested in rituals. Maybe starting something for the first time or deepening your relationship to existing ones. So I want to tell you about a new podcast. Regeneration is a new series from Recustom and the Jewish Grandparents Network, where hosts Debs Weinberg and Eileen Levinson unpack rituals like mikveh, Havdalah, and Shabbat. Through conversations with rabbis and authors, they bring these rituals to life, making us understand them, but also empowering us to make them our own. Search for Regeneration Rituals wherever you listen to podcasts. I can almost pinpoint the moment the spiraling started. As someone who works in media, and specifically who started a career in print media, I am no stranger to the feeling that the end is nigh. When I was 23, I put in my 2 weeks at one newspaper on a Friday, and over the weekend, that new newspaper I was about to start declared bankruptcy. I've seen my fair share of layoffs and shuttering, but it had never happened to me until fall of 2023, when I was laid off from a podcast job that I really, really loved. And while some people might have seen this as an opportunity to refresh and take a sabbatical, I experienced, a good 2 days of euphoria before I panicked big time. If Shabbat is rooted in a belief in abundance, that God or the universe has enough for me, I lost that belief entirely. There simply was not enough. From there on out, I started saying yes to everything. The idea of having nothing to do, and as a result, running out of money, terrified me. Still terrifies me. 3 years later, I'm still a bit of a mess. And I know it's a problem. I could stand to slow down once a week and tap into that abundance. I've tried it all. Saunas and cold plunges, yoga, massages, but they're temporary fixes. And sometimes I feel like a race car being serviced by a pit crew. There's people at NASCAR races who fix cars in like 3 to 12 seconds. So why not try something a little bit more deliberate and intentional, like the oldest practice of my people? That's one reason I'm turning to Shabbat to help. Not just because I want a nice dinner or 25 hours of rest, but because I think there's something to the ritual of it. I want to understand how to make this tradition mine. But I think I need some friends to help me do it. From Judaism Unbound, this is Shabbat Dinner Party. I'm your host, Kate Mishkin. This is episode 2. Shabbat Shalom. I would love to tell you that I could just stop making myself so busy, but it's not going to happen that easily. That's why I returned to Neil Spears, Jewish educator and fount of wisdom. Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about this, and I kind of see myself as, I've been getting this image, and I feel like I'm this like race car that's just like round and round and round. And like by the weekend, I kind of like, it's all these people come out to like whatever they do at the racetrack. They like fix the tires and they just kind of do a quick tune so I can like go out again and just keep on going. And it's not sustainable, first of all. Yeah. But I wonder, I've been thinking about that as wondering if Shabbat is a rest of the last 6 days, or is it a preparation for the next?
So what's interesting about the commandment to observe Shabbat is that in Exodus and Deuteronomy, we get a couple of different verbs for how to observe Shabbat. Shamor and Zachor, these are two different verbs. Shamor is about guarding, whereas Zachor is about remembering. Guard and remember. So your question about like, is this about cessation or is it about preparation is actually also reflected in the language of the Torah.
That's so interesting.
Which is kind of cool, right? So, Zachor, remember. What are we being called on to remember on Shabbat? Part of what I think is beautiful about this idea of remembering on Shabbat, we're being called to remember we're part of a lineage. We're part of generations. You and I talked about how Shabbat has changed through different generations. Yeah. The kind of Shabbat that I choose might be different than the kind of Shabbat that my neighbor across town chooses. It might be different than my ancestors in temple times chose. But we are all connected as part of a community that recognizes that we cannot go forever and ever and ever and ever. Memory, lineage, history, connection, community. Then there's Shamor, the guarding part. Right. And this is traditionally thought of as like, okay, don't do XYZ.
Sure.
And I think there's some wisdom to that too. When I am just scrolling through my phone, which automatically happens because the algorithms are so good,
right?
Because we're all addicted to our phones.
Sure.
I lose part of myself. I lose part of the spark of the divinity that's inside of me that's always there. It's not that it is extinguished, but I want to put a little fan on that, right?
Yeah.
What's at my essence? What am I yearning for? What do I desire in life? Where's the hurt? Where's the pain? Where do I need to give a little love? Those are questions that get completely papered over and ignored in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Our society is designed to keep us, honestly, from asking those questions. Because if we can just keep on producing and keep on contributing and keep on doing our produce, what ends up happening is that we no longer stop to ask questions. Why does it matter? So what does rest mean, right? Rest could mean the cessation of production. To say, I'm going to actually take some time for myself and just exist. A human being instead of a human doing. That's the magic of Shabbat. That's the wisdom of Shabbat. The Jewish wisdom of stopping and saying, is this the right track? Is this the life I desire? That requires some actual intervention. And it's not easy. In many ways, this technology of Shabbat is revolutionary because it interrupts our constant flow and drumbeat of always doing and doing and doing and doing. We have to pause in order to have the clarity, to hear the still small voice that's been calling to us, but we can't hear it through all of the noise.
And this rest is the only way we can hear it.
It's one of the ways. It's one of the ways we can hear it. Yeah.
There's no question that my manic response to load myself up with commitment is a response to something much deeper. I'm not even sure I want to find out what's hiding underneath all of this busyness. Is this the life I desire? Can I stand to be interrupted? But it's not just about being interrupted. It's about breaking the narrative and the self-talk and reordering time. Imagine 6 days a week we're on real time, and 1 day of the week we are on God's time. We have 6 days to do, and 1 day of the week to tap into the abundance, to be grateful for all I do have. While I ponder this, I'm headed back to Brooklyn to meet up with Jeffrey and Liz, the duo behind Gefilteria, which reimagines European Jewish cuisine, and as of recently, they're the hosts of the podcast, Meet Me at the Deli, which you really ought to listen to. When we left them, they were making matzo ball soup. Now, we've worked into the next stage. They're working toward a chicken within the matzo ball soup, making food the slow way, the way their ancestors and mine did. Before, we all started checking our phones and ordering the dinner on an app.
So what are we doing, Liz? You are currently...
I am trimming the fat off of a chicken because we are going to take the fat and the skins and cook them very slowly over a low flame with onion and render the fat out of all of this, and it will become schmaltz. And that schmaltz, which will be flavorful and thick and delicious, is going to be the fat that we will use in our matzo balls instead of using oil. That's what we're doing. And then that chicken, the whole chicken, is going to go into the soup to make chicken soup.
So I'm going to start this this pan, by the way, Liz.
Yes, great.
Doing it this way, this kind of old-fashioned way, it's also just like, I don't know, it's sort of like the slow food of the Ashkenazi kitchen. And so we're doing less, but we're doing it like really flavorfully and excitingly and also creatively. So a few things, one thing I'm working on right now is a matzo ball, but one of the things that matzo balls, we think of them as, again, as just matzah, but traditionally, and part of a lot of the work that Liz and I have done over the years is researching the origin of these foods and really trying to understand why, as American Jews, we ate in a certain way, and looking at the history of matzo balls. Matzo balls really developed or became what we think of them as this kind of ubiquitous, every week you go to the deli, you can get a matzo ball soup. But it used to be something you only have at the end of Passover when you had leftover matzah. And you'd crush your matzah and make it into a meal. You'd make it into a knedel.
Jeffrey says that even though it's really for the end of Passover, matzo ball soup has been filtered through this American lens and sold to us all year round. We all kind of expect matzo ball soup constantly, even though it's a special thing, especially the way Jeffrey and Liz make it.
How much of this is religion? How much of it is tradition? How much of it is just hosting?
It's a good question.
I think when you talk about Judaism, how much of it is religion, how much of it is culture, how much of it is purely tradition, right? I think that like those are like the big questions. I mean, I would say Shabbat dinner for me, it's you know, I mean, I joke about it. It's like I do it religiously.
Right.
You know, I don't actually always do it every week, but when I do it with like it's like this religious conviction, but not out of a sense of like connected to faith necessarily. It's just connected to like it's. I think of religion as just like this a structure of some kind of like, you know, like I understand the week, like, you know, I didn't do a Shabbat dinner on Friday and I felt like I was having a non-religious experience. I was going against what I just, my tendency is that I want to do, but I often don't do a Shabbat dinner on a Friday night sometimes, but when I do it, it just like feels like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. It's hard to describe. I think this way about Chinese food and Christmas also. It's like for me, it's like I eat Chinese food on Christmas with like a religious conviction, like to the point that I had plans to go to Chinese food on Christmas, and then I actually had to go with my partner to her non-Jewish family's Christmas on and during the day of Christmas Day, and I had to change my Christmas plans. I'm like, but this is my way of observing the holiday. This is my religious tradition, and they're getting in the way of it. Now, of course, Chinese food is Christmas is not an official religious thing, but it is such a big piece of Jewish culture.
I should probably jump in here because for many, a big part of Shabbat is going to services. And I'm exploring that too. But I was really curious about how Jeffrey and Liz think about elements found at services, like repetition, being in community, praying, etc., and think about them outside of a synagogue and actually in the kitchen. To me, the two feel a little intertwined. I'm still looking for the right synagogue and the right way to express my Judaism. But I know how to host a dinner that feels accessible to me. I wonder if hosting could be the religious component of Shabbat for me, even more so than attending services, at least for now.
Like when I go to Shabbat services and sing and I'm part of the community in that way, I think of that as more of my religious expression, I guess. The dinner part definitely doesn't feel like that for me. And I love to cook, I love to host, I love to be at dinner with people. And so it just like feels really good. And I feel no religious obligation to do Shabbat dinner, even remotely, at this phase of my life. Yeah. But I have a very Jewish lifestyle. So it's like, you know, like having a little break and like lighting candles, but not feeling like I have to do more than that is actually great. It's great.
And just to be clear, I also don't actually feel.
No, totally.
More like it's sort of like religion's like the standard. So it's like Shabbat dinner. It's like when I'm not doing it, I'm aware that I'm not doing it, but I often will not do it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
When I'm not doing it, I'm definitely aware that I'm not doing it. I'm out.
And if I ever have no plans on a Friday night, it feels terrible.
That's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
Even though it's kind of like consistent with the idea of rest.
Yeah, but resting by yourself versus resting in community is really different, I think. Like to the point that Jeffrey's saying about like it doesn't feel good to not have plans. It's like I think it's like to have no intention around it. You know what I mean? Like it's like having, if you were like, oh, we're just gonna I'm gonna relax this night, and I'm just gonna like, we're gonna have a special dinner but watch a movie and make it really special. I think that would feel different than having no plans. Like, I forgot to think about this, and now I'm just sitting here, and I could be having Shabbat dinner. Versus, like, I'm relaxing, but I've, like, set the intention to relax in some way. But that's like social, like, people are different socially, right? Like my brother is an introvert. He loves to just have no plans. It's the greatest thing in the world for him. Yeah. You know, like, he would love to, like, arrive at Friday night and be like, I'm done.
You know, I like to, like, break it down, like, Shabbat. We're going to do some ritual. Yep. We're going to bless the wine, and it's like, there's a short blessing, there's a really long one. I can do the long one, but it's like, is the long one the right thing for the moment here? And like, I like to just say, we're gonna do the short blessing and do the blessing. But sometimes I just say to people, we're just gonna bless the fruit of the vine, you know, like.
Totally.
And
totally.
But then, like, everyone loves the idea of breaking bread. Like, so I can use that language. We're gonna break bread together, and then I'll say the motzi. And like, do you know the motzi?
Kind of. I've said it, but
I mean, I wouldn't. It's totally fair to not be comfortable doing it. There's only one way to get comfortable, and it is scary.
Say it.
like Baruch Hashem Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. That's from
Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
Motzi lechem min haaretz.
you got it. Done.
Yeah, nailed
you
it.
just did it.
Did it.
Okay.
I like to lean on that idea, the idea of rest. Rather than a prescribed idea of what it means to rest, I can choose my own adventure. Maybe that means hosting dinner and completely tuning out. Maybe it's being a little bit more introverted. On the other hand, that feels like a bit of a trap. If it's 100% choose my own adventure, I risk leaving out the elements that connect this ritual to the ones my ancestors kept. Then it's just a dinner, or a Friday night in. It can't be rest without Shabbat, or Shabbat without rest. I'm looking for that equilibrium between the two. My dinner guest, though, seems to have this one all figured out. HL and Scott is actually the dream dinner guest because they've done it all. They're senior culture writer at Newsweek, host of the Parting Shot podcast, and for these purposes, someone who grew up Mormon, left the faith, and then went through the Jewish conversion process as a grown-up. This became the documentary Latter-day Jew, which followed H. Allen through their bar mitzvah. This is a person who has a million things going on, but has figured out how to make Shabbat part of that. Not something that's just another obligation, but something that complements that incredibly busy life. Or maybe a practice that exists anyway, not because it's something you earn, or because you need it to ramp up for the next week. So I was especially excited to hear about this journey, choosing Judaism for yourself and what it feels like to learn and claim the tradition, much in a way that parallels my own experience. Here's my conversation with H. Allen Scott.
You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm great.
H.L. Scott, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun. Oh God, you dropped your water. It's already dramatic. Should I help? I'm not going to help. Oh my God, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. So you've been Jewish almost as long as you've been in LA.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I basically converted. I mean, I consider myself, I've been Jewish for a very long time, even when I wasn't Jewish, but because I was living very much a Jewish life. But that said, I officially made it like official when I was here in LA, right? Shortly after I moved to LA. So I was Mormon. That was what I was raised under. And I never really felt right. I mean, the shtick is like Mormon boys are baptized at 8, but I was baptized when I was 13 because I had so many questions, the first sign that I was Jewish. And then eventually I decided to convert, or not convert, I decided to get baptized because of the missionary that was sort of in my thing was really hot. And so I was like, well, okay, let's just do it. And all my brothers had done it, and so I decided to do it. And I always say the first and last moment that I was Mormon was when I was baptized Mormon, because when I was being baptized, so like in Mormon baptism, you go through a whole process and everything, but then it's similar to, I guess, at least Reform Judaism. It's similar to Reform Judaism is that there's a process you have to go through. There's an education process you have to go through. I guess other religions have that too, confirmation with Catholics, etc. But so I had that, and when I was in the actual baptism part, you're supposed to be in like in a body of water, but it's modern day, so it was a jacuzzi in the church, and you're in a jacuzzi with the missionary who guides you in your whatever, who's like a younger man, like 18, 19 on his mission trip, and then the elder, which is like in Mormonism, our priest or whatever, sure. And so he's an older man, and you're in a hot tub with two men, basically, which is, for a homosexual, was a setup for a joke. And so during the baptism, the only thing that I'm thinking of, I'm not thinking of Brigham Young, I'm not thinking of Jesus, but whatever. I'm not thinking of any of those things. I'm literally only thinking that my head is like an inch away from what makes this man a man. And that's like in my head. And I'm in a white, clingy robe that becomes see-through after it's dunked underwater. And then I'm presented to the entire family after only thinking about this man's genitalia. So that was the last time I was Mormon. And then I went to college. I went to DePaul University, and I started taking religious courses and stuff. And I took a Jewish course on Judaism. And a lot of the questions that I had when I was younger about like, why are we so obsessed with heaven? Like, this is ridiculous. It's like living like you're going to win the lottery someday. Like, that's crazy. And I had so many questions. They were all being answered in that course. And so that's when it kind of all started for me.
And so at some point you were not Mormon, but you weren't yet Jewish.
The other thing that I had realized in that, when I was in Chicago, that's also when I started performing and started doing comedy and drag. And I noticed that, like, so much of the influences on my life were from Jewish people, like either writers or performers, or, you know, I'm thinking people like Bette Midler, Barbra Streisand, of course, but then you had like B. Arthur, or even Woody Allen, or, you know, like I had these Judy Gold, like I had so many people who were like massive influences on me that I didn't even know they were Jewish. It wasn't even a part of like my understanding of who they were. They were just funny. But every single person that I would mimic or try to aspire to be like were Jewish.
Yeah.
It was all kind of coming together in that moment. And when that happened, and then I moved to New York, and I, you know, of course, then had even greater friends that were Jewish. My best friend, Elliot Glazer. I'm really close with his family, and they sort of became my Jewish family. And so I was living a very Jewish life without being Jewish. And I assumed I would just, you know, marry a Jew or something someday, and that would sort of be what it was. Came out to Los Angeles for a job, and I then got cancer. Fine now. But then during the course of chemo, I just had a lot of time on my hands, like a lot of time on my hands, a couple of years time on my hands. And so I decided that would be a great moment for me to actually convert, because it felt weird. I had never like waited for anybody else to do something for me, you know, in my life. And so I was like, why am I going to wait for someone else to make me Jewish when I could just do it myself? And so I started the process of, you know, converting to Judaism, which is a process. Even in Reform, it's a process. And that's sort of when that started.
Another very action-based thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get the work done. Especially recently, I have been feeling like, oh, I should slow down maybe. But then again, I'm like, I always think, whenever I think about slowing down, I'm always like, that was like, if you work too much, it takes off the last years of your life, and those suck anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, does anyone really want to be in their 80s? Like, I mean, for most people, like rich people, sure.
Yeah.
Get to your 80s, you've had health care your whole life, you're good to go.
Right.
I'm not like that. Like, when I'm 80, it's not going to be pretty. Things are going to be painful. Like, I know this about myself. So let those years go, you know? I'm okay going at 75.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I won't hold you to that.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. My fear is that I'm going to go right in the middle of a project.
Oh, I know how I'm going to die. I'm going to die falling.
Oh, really?
I'm a clumsy person.
Okay.
And so I know I will probably fall. Like, even when I were out and about, like with friends and stuff, people will hold my bags because I'm that clumsy of a person. Yeah. So I'm probably going to die falling.
And you have a lot of bags.
I do have a lot of bags. Yes.
Maybe that's the first thing you could fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so at what point did Shabbat become part of your life?
Well, I mean, in New York, Shabbat was a big part of my life because I would often go to friends' Shabbats and different things. But it was really after chemo or during chemo that I kind of started participating in Shabbat more actively, mainly because I found it to be, like I always say, I'm not a religious person. I'm a faithful person. And so like I'm very faithful to my Jewish identity and the community. And I'm very faithful to certain practices around Judaism that I find to be very rehabilitating in a weekly sense, in a daily sense in a lot of ways. And part of that sort of faithful rehabilitation that I practice is centering myself within the practice of Shabbat and sort of having a place to, or a moment or a time during the week to say, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Stop for a second. Maybe this is going to make me live longer. Stop for a second, put the stuff away, and just like be chill. And that doesn't necessarily always mean being with other people, but sometimes it just means a very private, like, I'm just going to stop for tonight. I'm just going to stop what I'm doing, read, relax. I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to do those, well, sleep in for us. We were talking about earlier. I don't really sleep in, but like sleep in as much as I can. Yeah. But like do some self-care, because that's what Shabbat is to me, is self-care. It is less about sort of, the traditional sense of, you gather for the dinner. I mean, yes, when I can, of course, but I'm traveling or I'm whatever.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I will intentionally make a point of scheduling nothing on Shabbat and participating in a way that fulfills my soul, which I think is what Shabbat is about.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think I'm striving toward and want to know more about. Is it hard to say no or create those boundaries?
No, it's not. It's actually very easy, for me at least, because for example, in New York this past week, I had a busy week. I was filming all the time. I was until the nighttime. I was my days would start at 6 a.m. and they would end at 8 p.m. And it was just sort of like a nonstop period of time. But I made a point of saying, I'm scheduling nothing. I'm doing nothing. I am done at 6 o'clock on Friday night. And that was dedicated to having a meal with friends and then going out and celebrating these friendships that I've had for a long time. And that was really healing for me after a very, very busy week.
I don't know. Does it feel religious? Does it feel faithful at all?
It feels religious in the sense that I'm committed to the practice of doing it every week. So that to me is what I'm religious about, is that I religiously decide to take time every single week on that Friday night to recognize or take a step back, which is something that I've gotten from my rabbi here in Los Angeles, Rabbi Zach Shapiro of Temple Akiva. Or he's the one who I went through my conversion process with and my bar mitzvah and all the things, and he's great. He is really big on just sort of taking that moment and recognizing your soul for the week and your value within the greater landscape of both the Jewish community, but also the world, the universe, in the sense that you are a valued part. And because of that, you must stop and take stock of your own value and why it's important for you to stop and be centered and shut the fuck up kind of thing. He doesn't say that. I put that part. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like an affirmation of who you are.
Yeah. I'm never stressed when I intentionally step back and say, I'm not thinking about what's to come or what came before. I'm very good about recognizing no, my brain is going into off mode and I'm not focusing on these things the stress can be picked up tomorrow.
And are there things that you do to signal that to yourself? I know some people like candles or they turn off the phone. I imagine.
Yeah, I don't do any of that. But I do things that make me feel good. So I will check in with my mother, or I will make some tea, or I will read something for pleasure, which is something that I love to do. I'll do something that makes me genuinely happy. And that sort of is where I start the practice of Shabbat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really beautiful.
It is. It's nice. It's weird because you can be poignant about it and you can be grand about it and you can be, whatever about it. And it is. I'm sure there is some poignancy to it. But at the same time, I love that it's just such a regular thing that I'm putting myself in a place of you're important, your role, your health, your mental and soul health is important to the greater community, because if you aren't taking care of yourself, you can't be of service to anybody else.
Right.
And so by taking that sort of step out of the world for that night is allowing me then to step back into the world and hopefully be of service in the way that I can be of service.
It's a, I don't want to say reflection because it's not a reflection, but it's kind of a response to the week that just happened. But it's also like a charging for the week to come.
Oh yeah, fully. My boyfriend he's a designer, and so he works with his hands a lot and whatever. And he sees me working throughout the day, either filming something or writing something or interviewing people or whatever it is. And then he sees, like on Fridays particularly, he sees me intentionally shut down. He sees me go from closing everything down, making the cup of tea, going to the couch, putting out the book, and like getting into that moment of like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm reading now. It's interesting because he sees me and he just sees me sitting most of the day working and doing all these things. But he also recognizes how like exhausting it is to jump from being on in one capacity to then shifting your brain focus to writing and then shifting your brain focus to whatever it might be. Because when you talk and when you have to do those things, there's a level of endorphins that it requires to be on and animated and all the things, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think you alluded to this, but like, does it look the same every week?
no, it's different every week. I mean, it's often the best, to me, the best kind is when I get to be with other people, like people that I love, and we get to have a meal and we get to talk about whatever it is, you know. That, of course, is ideal. And I do find I do love when we can have a traditional Shabbat where there's, you know, the breaking of bread and the candles and the prayers and all the things. Yeah. But a lot of times it just can't. The gathering of people and schedules and travels and whatever. But when I get to do that, that is really nice. And we do that, we try to at least once a month make that happen.
So that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frequency.
Yeah. I mean, we try. It's, you know, it's hard, but we make an effort to like always be like, where is everyone on this night?
Yeah.
You know?
And is it like a Shabbat dinner? Like, are you saying prayers or like?
Well, I mean, it's not always prayers. It depends on the group and what they want. It depends on who's there. But sometimes it's prayers. It just depends. One of the things that my rabbi often talked about is there is this sometimes sense of like, never being Jewish enough because I wasn't born and raised Jewish. So I'll always have that, I think.
Yeah.
But my rabbi likes to say that people who choose Judaism are often the most actively Jewish because it's such a front and present sort of thing in our minds because it is so new to us. It is so, and there is also to a keeping up appearances kind of thing where it's like, not keeping up appearances, but like, where you want to always be proving yourself. So you become more actively Jewish because you are often proving yourself.
No, but like, you shouldn't have to.
No, you shouldn't have to. No, but that sense will always kind of be there. Like there's that, you know, it's just there. It's like in-laws, you know what I mean? Like, sure, after 20, 30 years, like they're family, of course, like, but you're always still, like, you're always still kind of not, like, they're not blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there is that it's that kind of vibe.
And to what extent is like synagogue part of your? It sounds like you have
I have a synagogue. I don't go as often enough because it's on this side of town and I live on the other side of town. But I choose that because of the rabbi. I love Rabbi Zach so much. Okay. I mean, I was talking with someone recently about sort of the need to reform the idea of like even what synagogue is in a lot of ways, because I feel like for a lot of people, they would respond more to a Shabbat experience, a Shabbat dinner experience as sort of the synagogue rather than the formal synagogue experience.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something about, even if I did it the quote unquote right way, there's something about sitting in traffic on a Friday, turn everything on, get on the freeway, whatever, get to the thing, then have a dinner. Like, it seems like more work than
it's a lot.
I signed up for.
It's a lot. But sometimes it's important. But like, it's a lot.
One of the reasons I'm doing this is because I am from here, so I was raised around everyone else who's way more observant. Yeah. And my mom is half, my dad is full. So I kind of grew up not being Jewish enough. I've spent most of my adult life looking for Judaism and what it means. And so this is kind of like, this is one lane, the Shabbat thing, and something that I'm really attracted to is the idea of it being every week. That like, if I fail this Friday, I can try again. Yeah. But also too, I feel like with people like us who do communicate for a living, and sort of that is sort of our role within the world, that we have a special place within Judaism in that there's no denying my Judaism. You know what I mean? Like in every setting, in every situation, for the most part, you can probably figure it out. You know who I am. You know where my mindset's coming from. You know who I am. And I think that serves a really important role within Judaism because, you know, everyone has a part to play. Yeah. And I just have a part that has more eyes sometimes on what I do for a living and like how I work and the people that listen and the people that follow and all the things. Yeah. And so they're seeing a slice of Judaism because I'm always Jewish, you know? Are there things about Judaism that you have questions about?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. So many things. I mean, so many things about being Jewish now that I have questions about, that I don't understand, both in literal things, like, what it's like to be a public Jew right now, and how there's a lot of heated misinformation and facts that are causing it to be delicate to be publicly Jewish right now and to be proud of your Jewishness right now.
Yeah. And it sounds like that to tie it together, like the Friday night,
Yeah.
the Shabbat is you feel valued, you're recognizing your own value.
Well, that's when I come back to recognize, well, more so, I wouldn't say to recognize my value as a Jew, because I always feel very valuable as a Jew, but to recognize and to take care of myself in order to prepare me to continue to be valuable.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it is a centering of myself in order to keep going. I think I'm always seeking to be a better Jew. Mm-hmm. Or no, seeking ways to give back. Because like I said before, being Jewish is very important to me, and I'm faithful to the Jewish community in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm faithful to my Jewish identity. And so finding ways to maintain that, strengthen that, and foster more of a community around that, I think is always sort of the goal. And I think I'm doing it pretty well.
I think you are too.
Yeah.
You've given back quite a bit by being here. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about H. Allen's idea of finding your place in Judaism, especially as a communicator. H. Allen is so good at that. Talking to them, I can't help but want to go to their synagogue, be part of their interpretation of Judaism and tradition. I just want to get pulled in. In some ways, Shabbat is a stand-in for everything else. It combines religion with something we practice religiously in a very accessible ritual. I'm starting to see the difference between those two things, but I'm also seeing big gaps in my Jewishness. Talking to other people in various points of their Jewish journeys makes me feel seen and affirmed, but it also exposes my shortcomings. Like H. Allen, I have that feeling that I've been Jewish for a very long time. But without interrogation, my Judaism could become dormant. I could get to the next Friday, and then the next, and the next, without finding my entry point into Shabbat, and as a result, into Judaism. So I have to find my own way. And even more importantly than finding my place within Judaism, I have to think about where Judaism fits within me. I might feel recharged at shul or by saying blessings. But most fundamentally, I'm looking to capture that feeling that Neil, Liz, Jeffrey, and H. Allen described of just taking things a little bit slower, trying not to paper over the feelings I really have deep down. And by the way, these are 4 people whose lives and careers I so look up to and aspire to. If they're all slowing down, I probably can too. But I need to figure this out. What is Shabbat to me? Is it an afterthought on Friday night? Something else to feel insecure or guilty about? Something I'm supposed to be observing on Friday night, but just too tired this week? Or can it recharge me, creating speed bumps in my week that might just slow me down or make me come to a complete stop? Next week, I'll be back with Neil, the Gefilteria folks, and a brand new dinner guest to talk about something different. Taking Shabbat in at microscopic amounts. Some might call it microdosing. My Jewish professionals call it perfectly acceptable. See you next week. Shabbat Dinner Party is a production of Judaism Unbound with financial support from Lippman Canfor Foundation for Living Torah. Judaism Unbound's executive director is Miriam Terlinchamp, and their senior producer is Joey Taylor. This episode was mixed by Justin Newton. If you're enjoying this podcast, please share it with a friend or write to me, michigan@judaismunbound.com. I want to hear your recipes, your guest ideas, and other Shabbat-related thoughts. See you next week.